for remembering to do that right away. I have a big, huge sign on my computer that says record. So we have a permanent record, and then we are going to transcribe for our next year's minutes. So let me find the Mevo here. No, but it's not here. Okay, fine. It's not here. I can't get it here. It's still looking for the Mevo. Ah, nope. No. The only other solution is to back out again and start over, and I don't want to do that. I can tell it to touch up my appearance. I'll do that.
That's you. You're the leader.
Everybody getting their names put on their note cards? Thank you very much. Let us pray. Ever-living God, whose will it is that all should come to you through your Son, Jesus Christ. Inspire our witness to him, that all may be known, that all may know the power of his forgiveness and the hope of his resurrection. Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those of us who take counsel in Trinity Church for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark, we're going to go ahead and do a couple of items. Of vestry.
That's the aliens.
That's not going to work.
The balloon people.
That Chinese balloon.
We will elect vestry members today. And if it comes to a vote, we will elect vestry members. I'm unmuted. And if it comes to unmuted.
I'm muted.
No, Mark is not muted.
Mark needs to be muted.
Mark, would you mute for right now? Mark. Can't. Be the teller in case we need to count votes.
I will.
Thank you, Paula. Will be the teller in case we need to count votes. Thank you. So I sent out to you the 2022 minutes in video format because that's the way we did the meeting. Is there anyone who will move to accept the 2022 annual meeting minutes. Paula, is there someone who will second that? Lisa Marie, all those who think that's a good idea, please say yes.
Yes.
Any who think it's a bad idea, please say no. Our 2022 video minutes have been accepted. We will talk a little bit about who is your ballot for vestry. We're not going to take, well, we are. Okay. So your vestry has done some hard work in trying to solicit people for this leadership opportunity. I do want to tell you that those who have been serving on the vestry have been doing a fabulous job, and we are down by a couple of people. So they've been doing great. Joe Bernhardt has come forward to be senior warden. Not a lot of twisting of arm, but some. And Paula has volunteered to be her sort of mentor and guide. And to also be clerk of the vestry. So that's a lovely thing too. We don't have that. So the floor is open for nominees for senior warden. The floor is open for a nominee to run against Joe. Okay. So Adele Smith moves that we close nominations for senior warden. Ryan seconds that. So we will take a vote for our senior warden. All those in favor of Joe Bernhardt being senior warden, please say yes. Yes. Anybody who thinks that's not a good idea, please say no.
Yes.
So we have yeses from Mark and from Dan as well. So thank you so very much.
And Marilyn.
And Marilyn.
And Marilyn.
Mark, so Dan and Marilyn are with us. They're right here. And they both voted yes for that. Joe wanted to make sure that y'all knew that she and Ralph are going on a big trip. And well, I'm hoping they do come back. So it'll be a little bit into Lent when they get back, but we are very, very pleased to have Joe's leadership in this next transitional year. It's just incredibly important to have a good, strong leader in the next year. And I am pleased that Joe has decided to be that leader, and pleased that Paula will be able to be a guide and mentor so that all voices can be heard in this next year. Rich Bostwick has consented. Have you, Rich, consented to be a junior warden in this next year? Are there others? Remember, when you nominate someone, you need to make sure you get their permission first. Are there others? Adele Smith moves that we close junior warden, and Monty Whitford seconds that. All those in favor of Rich Bostwick, well, we need to vote on closing the nominations. I forgot that part. All those in favor of closing the nominations, please say yes. Yes. Anybody in favor of not closing the nominations? No. All those in favor of Rich Bostwick being junior warden, please say yes. Yes. All those in,
yes.
Oh no, I had to take a motion for that. Somebody move that Julie moves that Rich Bostwick be the next junior warden, and Rita seconds that. All those in favor of Rich Bostwick being the junior warden, please say yes. Yes. All those not in favor, oh, and Dan says yes, and Marilyn says yes, and I think Mark says yes. All those not in favor of that, please signify that now. Okay, so we have now elected our senior warden and our junior warden, thankfully. So if you look at your ballot, what we have are, you have your ballots, right? They were all on the back table as you came in. Okay, Marty is passing them out. So Yvonne, I did put you on the ballot. Is that still okay? Okay. So I'm going to read the names and you can wave or stand. So we all know to start out with who is being involved here. So Yvonne Sanchez is going to be right here. She is standing for a 3-year vestry term. Jim Schultz, who could not be here today, is standing for a 3-year vestry term. And Ann Wonke is re-upping another 3-year vestry term. So those are our new 3-year vestry term people. There are still 2 openings in a 2-year seat. So if you want to be on the vestry, but want to be on it for 2 years instead of 3 years, you have a few more moments to think about that. And John Lippens is our other 2-year, 2-year seat. He's already been 1 year. One of those seats was vacated by Joe. So that's why we have one of those seats. And one of those seats just never got filled. And then our people that are finishing at the next annual meeting are Sharon Grover has consented to run for a 1-year term. Tammy Carlson has 1 more year, and Julie Westby has 1 more year. So thinking. Are there any nominations? Okay, is it okay with you that you nominate you? Okay. It's going to be a really, really important year. I see Marty has said something. Oh, okay. You're going to nominate Paula. Okay, just a second. Yeah. So you on your ballot, we have 2 empty spots under 2024. So Paula has consented to be nominated for 1 of those spots, and she has said that's okay. I'm going to go with Yvonne for a minute. Jenna Elliott for 2 years. Is that okay with you? Do you have another idea? Well, just a minute here. No? Yeah. That's too many. Well, there's going to be next year. Okay. So number 6 is Paula. Number 7 is Jenna. I have heard a motion to close nominations from Adele. Is there a second? Ryan has seconded that. All those in favor of closing nominations, please say yes. Yes. All those in favor of not closing nominations, please say so. Okay. So given that, we can vote on the slate. Okay. So do I have a motion to vote on this as a slate? We're not voting on these people. I need a motion to vote on as a slate. Okay, I got one from, thank you for that question. That means that we will submit 1 vote for all 9 spots. Okay, so I see a hand way back there. Frank moves that, and a second is by Rita. All those in favor of accepting the slate, this isn't the vote for the people. This is a vote for a slate. We have to do that first. Say yes. Yes. Anybody
Yes.
opposed to that? Thank you. The people on there, I heard from Dan. Okay, you guys can also use you guys on Zoom, you can also use your little hand if you want to. Under your reactions, there's a little hand too, but it means you guys all have to help me look at it. Okay, so we are voting on this vestry by slate. I'm going to read one more time. Yvonne Sanchez, Jim Schultz, and Wonky for 3-year terms. Paula DeRubis, Jenna Elliott, and John Lippens. We only need to vote, I mean, we're going to take the whole thing. So they will have 2-year terms. Sharon Grover, Tammy Carlson, and Julie Westby are 1-year terms. Do you have a question or a motion? Thank you. Question. Correct. We only need to vote on Yvonne, Jim, Ann, Paula, Jenna. And Sharon, thank you. And Sharon. Okay. Okay, everybody clear on that? Thank you for that clarification. Is there, Rick makes a motion that we vote just like that. Is there a second?
Second.
Dan seconded. He got that in quick. All those in favor of this slate, please please say so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? To this?
Yes.
Yeah, Dan's got a yes in. Mark, you got a yes in. Jack?
You got a yes.
Jack Elliott's with us. Did you see that? So he's got a yes in. Okay. Anyone else? Everybody's got a yes. So you now have your new vestry. I'm going to just say their names. Yeah. And we can clap for all of them because, I mean, I'm excited for you all. I think it's going to be a great year of imagining new possibilities. And this is going to be a good leadership council for you, led by Joe Bernhardt and guided by Paula, Rich Bostwick, Yvonne, Jim, Ann, Paula, Jenna, John, Sharon, Tammy, Julie. Yay. Thank you so much to all of them. Also, all of you, this is going to take an effort from everyone in this next year. So these people will need to be supported 100% by all of you as we move forward into this. One more, I'm going to announce this, but then I think we'll come back to the elections to the diocesan convention. At the very bottom of your piece of paper, it says, elections to 2023 diocesan convention. The 173rd annual convention of the Episcopal Diocese of Milwaukee will take place on Saturday, October 21st, 2023 at the Madison Marriott West in Middleton. A block of hotel rooms will be available for Friday night. That leads me to believe that there will be festivities on Friday night. Okay? We will, it would be fabulous to have 4 people go to diocesan convention. It was just Ann and me the last go round. So think about that. We'll come back to it. Remind me that we need to come back to it. Okay. The next thing is our budget and treasurer's report from Mark. Yeah, you are in the dark because you're so bright behind you, but that's as good as that gets.
Yeah, I don't know if I can turn around or not. It's probably not that important.
Yeah.
You all see me.
I have everything up as loud as it will go. So if you can't hear, come on up here. Okay, the TV is as loud as it can go. So you need to come on up if you can't hear. Okay, Mark, go.
Can you hear me okay, Kathy? Can I share my screen?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. And can I share my screen or not?
Oh, you want me to share it?
Well, I've got a thing that says share screen. So should I share my?
Let me.
It says you disabled the screen sharing.
I did.
but
But
it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's not.
Okay.
That's not what I, no, that's not it. I lied.
Yeah, let me do it. Well, they've got they
Yeah, but
have,
we can do this. Just hang on a sec. I had it up. Why don't I have it up? One thing.
does everybody have the printout that Excel sheet that compared last year to this year?
That's not what I wanted. Yeah, I know. I'm looking for something else.
Sorry.
Thought I had this open, but I guess. I didn't.
One on page 32.
They could follow along with the printout if they've got it.
If you're electronic, I think he's talking about page 32.
Yes, so in your report, this report is at the very, very end, so you can please look at that. And if you want to see it up here, it is now right here. Is that what you wanted, the proposed budget, Mark?
Sure. This, if
Or do
they, you know, Kathy, it might be easy. Does everybody have the printed one?
I think most people do, yes.
Because when you do that, I can't, you know, I'm gonna have to be telling you to scroll on this. It might be
Oh,
easier if you didn't
okay.
share your screen, and I just pulled
Never
it
mind.
up on mine and talked about it a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah, aloha, this is Mark, and I've been it's been an interesting year again. When we do budget projections, the last few years we have projected that we'd have big deficit budgets, and fortunately that hasn't turned out to be true, but 2023 is going to be a really difficult year. But looking at what we did in 2022, we initially started out with a projected deficit of somewhere around $40,000, ended up at a shortfall of $6,600, and how we were able to cover that was that we had enough money in our savings accounts and everything to be able to pay our expenses and our payroll and all that. We had ended 2021 with somewhere around $127,000 in the checking. And in 2022, I take it back, we had about $65,000 in checking. And at the end of 2022, we ended up with 48,000. So we used that $17,000 to cover some of the deficit in there. And one concern is it was a bad investment year for returns for our endowment. So we're not going to have any money to put towards the budget for this year. our endowments went down from a combined total of about 734,000 at the end of the end of 2021, down to 601,000 the end of 2022. So our spendable income policy doesn't allow us to take any money out for this year's budget. It's been a very wise policy over the last over 20 years now. We have actually been able to take more money out of that endowment than we ever started with, use it towards our operating and different projects around the parish, and still grow the endowment. So it's in a down year, it's wise not to take money out so that you've got enough investment in there to grow it when the stock market returns again. And that's what we're going to do this year. Just looking at kind of how we made up the deficit budget last year and closed the gap. We had more giving than we had projected. And for this year, because of the economy and everything, when we talked about it, Kathy and I and Frank Scott helped with this budget. We decided we'd probably be down a little bit. And so those numbers dropped about $6,000, about $8,000 in projected pledges and non-pledge income. We don't have any endowment income this year. And, we really can't project memorials. Tom Heiding left us money last year, a bequest that helped us out right at the end of the year. So the total income projected this year for the budget is going to be about $65,000 less income this year than last year. Last year we were pretty successful in controlling expenses, and the expenses were a little bit less, were definitely less than what we had budgeted. So that helped to close that $42,000 deficit down to a little less than 7,000. But this year it's looking like expenses are going to be a little bit more than last year. The uncertainty here is that with Kathy leaving mid-year, we're probably, the vestry is going to have some hard decisions to look at. And I think Kathy, you maybe will talk about this a little bit later, perhaps, but depending on how we end up, if we go to a shared ministry or something, I think that pastoral ministries accounts are going to be significantly less than what they're projected right now in the budget. So we didn't really know where to put that number. The one thing that increased quite a bit was the diocesan assessment this year went up 45%, went up $4,500 for the year, from about 30,000 to about 35,000 almost.
Can I
That-
say something? Can I just say a
Yes.
word on that? For the last 3 years, the diocesan assessment has holded steady. We
Yes.
have not increased
Yes.
at all.
That's correct.
Because of the places that we all were in pandemic stuff. So this is the first increase. And it has to kind of right the ship a little bit. So it can be addressed, but we can't complain too much because we have not had any increase for 3 years.
Right. So it actually, Kathy, it didn't increase for the last 2 years. In I think in 2019, the diocesan assessment was actually, I looked it up, it was over 31,000. Then it went down for a couple of years and stayed flat.
Yeah.
And now it's back up to 34.5, but. So essentially, the deficit right now is projected for the budget is almost $80,000. And hopefully, our forecasting will turn out to end up with the same result that we've had the last couple of years where we projected bigger deficits and they haven't come true. So that's probably a best case. So you look at it, you say, how do you cover that deficit? Well, we do have enough money in our, if you look at the balance sheet, and I think maybe you've got that there, but as of the end of the year, we had $48,500 in our checking that we could write a check for right away. And then we have
That,
four other.
For y'all to see that is on what is marked page 30.
It's count 132. It's right at the top.
At the top
It says
of the page, it says assets. And you
Yes.
have account 135, 134, 132, Johnson Bank, Trinity checking, $48,000.
So that's the most liquid of them, but these are all relatively liquid. Our CD, I've talked to the bank and he said that we could get the money out there if we needed to. That 36,001 account 130 is, you know, if we have a building project or something like that, or an immediate need for more money, we can get money out of there, but we probably should be okay. The total checking and savings of 109,000 at the end of last year compared to we had 127,000 the year before. So it dropped about, you know, 18,000 bucks there. The other assets to look at here would be the endowments that I talked about. So we have John Eggleston years ago was a member of Trinity. He was on the vestry for a long time, and he left us at the time. His bequest was $100,000. There's still $137,900 in there. And even though that went down, I think it was 12 or 13% last year, we've got that much in there yet. And then the original Trinity endowment is at 460 right now. So we've got a combined total in the endowment of 601,000. At the end of the year before, we had I think it was 734,000. So it went down 134,000 last year. But RBC overall has managed this account for at least 20 years, I think, and provided us monies in good years that we could use. So we're going to work through this and keep that balance where it's at and hopefully grow it. And we're in pretty good shape. Our bills are all paid otherwise. So at the end of the year, like I said, we ended up with if you look way down at the net income there at the bottom of the page, we ended up with a $6,600 deficit. That is a little bit it in a nutshell. If people got questions, perhaps I can help them understand it a little bit more. So
Any questions of clarification to ask of Mark?
I have questions of the proposed budget, but that's not.
We voted on this budget. So questions of clarification.
I would make one comment that I think probably once we establish who's going to be our new minister, our new rector or priest in charge or whatever we select or come to agreement with, we'll probably have to adjust this budget a little bit.
Yes. Yes,
Dan
Yeah,
will advise me on that.
yeah, that's like the
maybe
understatement of the year.
Mention that, I really appreciate.
Yeah,
I
Once-
do,
once
I appreciate Dan's help and everything. He reviews all the financials and then forwards them to the finance committee, and Kathy sends them out to the vestry once Dan's kind of looked over everything that they've tried to put together. So
yeah.
thank you, Dan, for your help.
Yeah, so it'll be some time before you know what this is, what
Yeah.
life will look like,
It
and
may not be this year.
that when that happens, then your finance committee and vestry will reevaluate this. What you have is direction for the vestry to operate Trinity within this amount, within this budget. And they can operate they cannot spend, right? I mean, that's always an option. And so as the parish moves forward, it will become more apparent. Hi, Eleanor. It will become more apparent where that not spending can happen, right? And that is all yet to be seen. Any other questions of clarification from Mark? You understand the assets? You understand the endowment? You understand our CD?
Can I make one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kathy, the one thing I neglected here is if you look on the statement of financial position, which is a balance sheet, under current assets, there is account 175, accounts receivable of 13,500.
Okay.
What that is that actually is the balance of the fourth quarter endowment, which for whatever reason we didn't get from RBC. So we will be receiving that this year. That
soon.
will be going into the check. It came from last year's spendable income.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I have a question. Dan, how did you determine the post-budget pledges?
Dan, did you hear that question? How is the pledge line determined?
Right.
Can I answer that, Dan, or you want to?
Dan wasn't involved in it this year.
The pledges are exactly that. It is the amount that is on a signed pledge sheet added up. That says, I pledge to give X number of dollars in 2023. Okay, that's what that number means. The non-pledge is what we call a wild ass guess. This is how much has come in the past. And this is what we think might come in non-pledged in 2023. So we add those two numbers together.
I just don't recall ever having a pledge campaign
Being what?
So it's sort of like, I recall just getting a letter from you.
Right.
rather than sort of a all-out campaign.
Yes, right. Yeah, that needs to happen.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's just surprising to me that amount maybe was only a letter from you.
That it's a big amount or not big amount?
It's a big amount.
Well, yay. Yeah, I mean, it is something that needs attention. You are right. Yeah. And you all know that, we had a significant death in 2022. And a couple of people have just moved out of the state. So those things happen. And that coupled with nothing coming from the endowments is what puts us into this position.
Well, and the other thing you have to think of is that what's happening to the church's endowment is happening in all.
Yes, yeah. Our endowment is no different from anybody's investments, right? Right. And we're just gonna have to live through this. That's all there is to it. And we can, I mean, we can get it, we can live through it. Any other questions of clarification? You,
Kathy, can I say something to that?
yes, go for it.
Years ago, I was involved with, I forget what it was. I think it was when I went through some of the training, the 3-year training program through the Episcopal Church, and was meeting with other members from different churches in the diocese. And we got talking about endowments a little bit, and they said, yeah, our church used to have an endowment and we spent it. Now it's gone. And that's happened. And I think Trinity, through the wise guidance of that policy, that hasn't happened with us.
Right.
So.
You guys all need to be so incredibly thankful for the people who have come before you, have done huge and amazing work in managing these funds. And even when it's hard, oh, can't we just spend that money? Can't we just spend that money? Even when it's hard, that money has been protected. And it is going to be a lean year for everybody. But they have done that gifts acceptance policy, the investment policy are so wise and so strong. We just need to give thanks for the people who have come before us and done that huge and hard work of putting us into a position where we can say, we'll weather this. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can ask a question.
Jack, did you have a question? Jack Elliott?
Yeah,
see.
I put
Okay.
it in the chat,
Go for it.
but I just had a question with all the budget and whatnot. With the projected numbers for pastoral ministries in 2023, would that then be like halved in some way because of you leaving about halfway through, or?
Yeah, I don't know.
It won't be halved, Jack, but Kathy and I discussed that. We think hopefully it'll be about a $20,000 difference at least.
Yeah, we can't know that right now, and you all will address that as you move forward. What that packet, I mean, you got huge questions ahead of you, so we can't even begin to address that. What we can know is that it will be impacted. Yep, we can know that, but we can't know what that impact will be. It's a good question. Thanks, Jack. Okay. I just, I don't.
This budget is the expenses,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at a lot of them with the, maybe looked at more carefully what we spend our money and where we spend it.
Yeah, we have been working on, this is a really lean budget. Mark comes up with amounts of money that are incredibly close to what doesn't change, things don't change. There are some things like energy costs, utilities, well, they go up. That sort of thing. We watch our office costs incredibly closely. So that we don't spend on things we don't need to. That's why you all get your giving statements handed to you. That's why you get your information by email. That saves hundreds of dollars to not be putting stamps on things. As you all know, stamps cost an arm and a leg now. So yes, if you have ideas about how to lessen any one of those lines, then your input would be really welcomed in that. So it's the those some costs can't change, some costs can. So you need to.
For instance,
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
Kathy, I was gonna say, for instance, we can give a big thank you to Ryan Lewis. He called up Charter and got our internet and telephone bill from $199, 200 bucks a month, all the way down to like 130 or something.
And part of it is that when you can donate something, so we don't have to spend money, that works well. People have been donating paper. That's a huge thing to be able to donate. So there's all sorts of ways that we can decrease those kinds of costs when everybody pitches in to do that. Any other things about that? Okay, well, thank you. We thank Mark. He, one of the funniest things is that he does all his work remotely. And when he does it, we see him on the computer in the chair. We see the cursor moving around and pages moving around, and it's the funniest thing to watch. But he spends hours and hours doing that work. So thank you so much. Mark?
You're welcome.
And Mark has pledged that he will at least do another year. Yay. Dan does huge amounts of looking at numbers and giving input, and anybody else who wants to be on that finance committee. Dan, if you're listening right there, Ralph Topinka has volunteered to be on that finance committee. So a couple more people would be great on that. Ralph Topinka, Joe's husband, has volunteered to be on the finance committee. So those things are really important. And budgeting, a really great budget will be based on, this is what our vision is, this is what our mission is, and this is how we're going to fund that. And then we go about funding those lines rather than, oh, we don't have any money, how are we going to do this? So that's I think what Adele is speaking to have a robust campaign that puts out our vision and mission and says, this is what we dream about doing. This is what we want to accomplish in the world. And this is how we need to go about doing that. So yay for all of you who are working on all of those things. It's really, really important. Any more on treasurer's report and money? Okay, thank you so much for staying in on that. That's hard work too.
You're welcome.
To get that budget in our heads and understand what's happening. So the next thing we're going to hear about and do is the report of our vision and mission task force. We got to talk right into that. And I'll be right.
And that was a great segue that Reverend Kathy just gave me, talking about the importance of this mission and vision work. But before I get into that, I just want to thank everybody. I'm looking forward to working with you as senior warden. I'm excited. This is such a wonderful community. It'll be so great to work. I know I'll have a lot to learn, but I have a great team here behind me. And thanks to Paula for being willing to step in. I'll be available as senior warden starting in mid-March. And until then, if you have questions, Paula has graciously accepted to field those for me. And I look forward to the future of working with you. So thank you very much for that. And Tammy and I have been co-chairing the Mission Vision Committee. And it's really important to take some time. I know these meetings can get long, but as Reverend Kathy said, this is such a critical time for this congregation. You just heard about budget concerns where Reverend Kathy is leaving. There's going to be a lot of changes. We need to have a strong plan for moving forward, and that everybody in the congregation is able to be part of that planning. So that's why we've had this long mission vision process, and why we are having this part of the annual meeting on the mission and vision, because this is so critical to the future of our congregation. This is what's going to guide us. As Reverend Kathy said, this will guide our budget decisions, this will guide our leadership decisions. And so it's essential that we get, that we spend the time, since we're spending a lot of time on it, it's important to spend the time to be reflective, to take the time to really make sure we're understanding things and doing what we need to set this vision, but also to get input from everybody. So that's what this part of the annual meeting is focused on, is giving people another opportunity to have input on where we're headed with our mission and vision. You know about the survey, the Holy Conversations, and we're thankful to everybody who participated in those. We have Jim Gettle working with us to guide us through this process. And just an aside there, because we were just talking about budget issues, we did get a grant from the diocese to pay for Jim. So that didn't become an expense in our budget. So that was really great. And the diocese is excited about this work that we're doing as well. So in your report, you have a report from Jim Gettle, and it's on page 18. That's where it starts. And he, after our last Mission Vision Committee session retreat, he put this together for us. And I really encourage you to read it. He has done a lot of good research, a lot of thoughtful reflection on what we've done and guiding us. And so we're not going to go over this whole report today, except to give you just a couple of highlights that, talking about, Jesus asked his disciples, what are you looking for? And we're contemplating what we're looking for as a congregation. And he talked about, on page 2 of this report, he talks about some of the changes in the church that are having an impact we're seeing in our community, other churches are seeing in their communities. I found this statistic interesting. More than 60% of people in this country say they are Christians, but fewer than 1 in 10 attend church. So it's affecting everybody. And we're looking at what is God calling us to next as a loving community. So we have an activity for you that Tammy's going to lead, and this gives you another opportunity to reflect on and give input to the Mission Vision Committee, which, by the way, you're invited to join the next retreat, which is February 18th from 9 to 1. All are welcome to join that. But during the last retreat, and you see this on, I don't know what the page is in your report, but it was the 4th page of Jim Gettle's report. So I don't know what the page number is in the total document. 21. Okay, thank you. But we identified, and there are a number of people here who were part of that retreat, and we thank them for their input. Sense of belonging. These are the 3 key areas that came from the surveys and the Holy Conversations. Sense of belonging, sense of purpose, and worship. And our next step, and if you were part of the Holy Conversations, you'll remember that the 5th question you were asked is, what would you like to see happen in the next few years, and what would that look like? And so that's our next step, to basically look at that Holy Conversation question. And Tammy will lead you through an activity that will help give you another opportunity to have input on this. And I know this kind of thing takes time, but we just think it's so vitally important, because it absolutely is going to guide us in all these tough decisions we'll be making in the coming years. So we thank you so much for your input and your time. And I'll turn it over to Tammy.
So you'll notice that you have 3 different colored Post-it sticky things on your table. There's a blue one, a fluorescent yellow one, and a reddish colored one. So what we are doing, and we're gonna be bringing this to the next retreat so that we show that we have the feedback. We're gonna ask you for each of the sections that I'm gonna read over here. we'd like you to reflect and think of something in that area that you would like to see over the next 3 years. So the blue one is going to be sense of belonging, and I'm gonna read over what Jim had said in his report. The fluorescent yellow one is sense of purpose, which is outreach and community service. And then the red one is going to be worship. So I'm just gonna read over what was discussed at the last retreat. And you guys can start writing on your Post-its, and then we'll either gather those, or if you are getting up and around, you can stick it. You'll notice on the walls here, we have the purpose is right over there. And then the worship and sense of belonging are on the wall over here.
Tell our guys they can put it in. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and those of you who are online, if you'd like to put that in the chat, we'll make sure to get your information down for the feedback. Yep, so, and we have the colored Post-it on the posters too, so if you can see them. So yellow is purpose. Blue is sense of belonging. And red is worship. So the sense, and as I'm reading, you can be writing. So sense of belonging is community, family, care, love. Many joys and blessings of this community come from the sense of belonging people experience in God's love and the love of other people. There is a desire and practice to foster this for everyone. Welcome each one, no matter what. Invite each person to fully participate. Inclusive, respectful, non-judgmental, open to differences and diversity. Each person to feel cared for. This is and will be a work in progress. Some fear losing this if the church or their small groups within the church change. We need to ask, how do we listen to others so they can feel cared for? This includes engaging people deeply, not giving answers, and managing expectations. Once again, this is the blue one. What would you like to see in the next 3 years in the areas of sense of belonging to help grow that particular piece? Then the next one, fluorescent yellow, is sense of purpose, service, meaning, empowerment, our outreach and community service. Trinity, we have a long and deep tradition of being part of the wider community, reaching out primarily to help more vulnerable people on the margins. Positive characteristics Trinity has used to help successfully develop and grow these ministries are collaboration, partnerships with other community groups and individuals. Trinity does not need to own or control it. It's not about us. It's about the ministry. Continually allow, invite, encourage others to participate. Several significant ministries have been started and adapted over time, Echo, Gifts, etc. Some possible fears of losing this because individuals and families have less time and involvement these days or are aging. How can we continue to help make this happen? So once again, the fluorescent yellow is that sense of purpose. What would you like to see Trinity's sense of purpose for the next 3 years? An example, or something that we're currently doing that you definitely really want to make sure continues. And these are specific examples, not just more of a general idea, but specific things that you want to. We want the pancake supper every year, something really specific, so that it can be used to develop action plans. And then the third one, which is going to be red, is worship. So that's liturgy, music, scripture, and Eucharist are central to our community life and to praising God together. This may be an area where tradition limits change or learning. However, obviously with the transition with Reverend Kathy leaving, it's automatically going to be a change here. So how open are we to using a variety of approved expressions of liturgy or music for public worship? Even when these are approved resources, are we limiting choices to our own preferences and comfort zones? How do newcomers learn about our worship practices and become engaged with them and in them? Small groups and ministry teams, Bible study, choir, etc. Young adult involvement and partnering, adult faith formation. These are all part of the worship piece. Communication. Are we focusing on what people are looking for, seeking in our social media as well as our website? And that's kind of, the communications is more, also kind of ties in with kind of all three of those. So if there's something, you know, how it ties in. And then with the worship, also kind of in our physical space can tie into the worship part, the beauty and the history of our buildings. The physical spaces can tie into the sense of purpose by what we do with community outreach, sense of belonging, how do we invite people in to meals and things like that. So we're gonna just take, and I realize that this isn't a lot of time. If you, as we go through the rest of the meeting or after the meeting, you're definitely welcome to keep on writing on your Post-its. And we're gonna take just a couple, like 3 minutes here. And I know that's not a lot. So like I said, go ahead and just keep on filling those out. And then we're also gonna then sit and discuss just real quick some of your responses with your neighbors after those 3 minutes are over for just another 5 minutes. We don't want to take too much time in this, but please know that you are definitely welcome to, you know, communicate as much as possible. And as Joe said, everyone is welcome to join us for the next Mission Vision Retreat, which is going to be Saturday, February 18th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We do ask that if you are interested in joining us, please let me know, because there is some information that Jim Gettle has provided to the people who are participating that we want to make sure gets out to you so that you'll be prepared for that meeting. So just reach out to me and I'll make sure that you get that information if you do want to join us on the 18th. So 3 minutes.
Hold on.
Then you can get up and put them around if you want.
Yes, if you have finished and if you want to put them on the thing.
But we're gonna discuss it.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
sorry,
we're all
gonna
good.
discuss.
Never mind.
All right.
I'll forget what I said.
I got mine right here. Okay, more water, lots more water.
Me too.
Yep, so like, what does the church currently do in is there something in our music ministry, I don't know what sort of we offer morning prayer. In the sense of walking one, is there the birthday, what of what we do belong in the future is for example, would you like to see that this is what we have right now.
JK, do you guys have your card filled out?
But I gotta remember what I'm saying.
Well, I kind of just, 5 minutes, so. Phone is, would be new and when we could move on to the next step of the. So for 5 minutes. Kind of get feedback, if there's any other things, then yeah. If you would like that. Otherwise.
I have one. Well, one thing that I wrote down last night. When I did this yesterday.
Okay, let's see what we got in the chat here. Oh, that's a good idea.
So it wasn't just. Was that like?
Okay.
I hate to sound right.
What did I do with my?
Before you were.
Hey, really.
So that's all I would like. Yeah, it's Apple. And she does.
Yeah, it's got a. Yeah.
Got the nerve
I did
issues
that,
going on.
So you just did more jobs, these people are talking about like a specific outreach plan.
No.
So that would be something of like, so then. That in place, but when we notice people are coming. Contacts them, we're just, that's something, just not have it be random, like a very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liz and I
Oh, yeah. This is like, what you
We've kind of done it.
Okay, then.
I know. Okay.
I didn't, but I'm gonna call people because I don't want to say.
And you know, I think excuse me.
Okay, just another minute or two, and then we got a few more things before we wrap up.
No, I didn't want to really believe that. Like, when we had it going up, it's just good, right? Going up on this year. So there's always meetings to go. You go through the vent screen.
Did you see this on breakfast all year round?
So much.
I think one of the things that like get technology involved. That's what you know, that see, you don't go with an things I gonna capture that. I'm honestly proud of the way we have our things on. Maybe let's put some service. I think we should expand it maybe a little more. Maybe get closer. Yeah. So how many?
One minute warning, 1 minute warning.
Yeah.
Giving out like my notes, so we can move on.
Tammy and Joe are collecting any remaining Post-it notes and posting them on our signs. Are you gonna stick around there, Mark? Got a couple more things. Got some good suggestions in our chat too.
Well, you could cut it all the way down and wait for about 30 seconds and then turn it back.
Okay. Okay, we got a couple more important things to do before we can get moving. So let us keep going. So again, thank you so much for that, for being involved in that activity. This is an ongoing conversation. So we'll keep doing that. I entrust you to reading all of the reports in the annual report. That is all important information for you to have. The annual report is also posted, and I want to show you this. So so those of you guys, I'm going to lose you for just a moment so that I can show where are you? Show how to do this. Okay. Okay, this is our website. See, everybody, this is our website. The reason our new people are here is because they've been able to avail themselves of tons of information on this website. So please refer to it when you are looking for stuff. Under the About Us tab, it says About Trinity. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. The bottom line, it says, never mind, Kathy, go backwards. Under the About Us, it says participant portal. See that alliteration there? Participant portal. You click on that. Oh, you get this picture, stock photo, right? This gives you and others all sorts of information about stuff. When you're in the hospital, when you are a loved one wants a home visit, when you are a loved one wants communion at home, anointing and prayers for healing. All of that information is here. Then we have this. All of the Trinity Church vestry minutes are right here. And your annual report is right here. So please refer to this, our website. Use our website to get information. And if you don't see the information you want on the website, call and say, I don't see this information. Either where is it? And then we'll know that what you want is harder to get to and we might need to solve that. Or maybe it's not there and we need to get it there. So unless you say that, we'll never know that we need to update, make change. We are still working on having a church calendar on here. We haven't made that one happen yet, but eventually then you'll go to the calendar to see what's going on. So please avail yourself of this website so that you know exactly what's going on. There's some great ideas from our people online, and those will all be saved for us for that. Okay, couple more things. Where's mine? Right here. Okay, you can read you can read my remarks in the annual report. I don't have too much new to add to that. Other than y'all know that I have said it is time for me to move. And that is the absolute truth. It is time for me to be with my family back in the Twin Cities. And that makes me incredibly sad to move away from here, but it makes me incredibly happy at the same time that I have been able to make that decision and be able to work on what I need to do in order to make that happen. Now, all of you need to come and visit me. And I know you can, then we'll do fun stuff like go to the mall of overindulgence or go to the fair or go to the science museum, whatever it is that we want to do together, we can do that. The Fiber Festival, yeah, Rita's already given me dates for the Fiber Festival. I will be here this summer in August for the women's mini retreat. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be great fun. That'll be fun to do that. So there's all sorts of great stuff happening. I do want to say thank you to the people who are rolling off the vestry. Sue Whitford, who in this time has been 6 years, right? There's been previous times that she served on the vestry. So this one has been just 6 years. So thank you so very, very much, Sue Whitford, for that. And I thank Lisa Marie, who had to leave, for she is ending her 3 years on the vestry. Yay for Lisa Marie. And then Paula too. We never had a chance to actually thank Paula for her years as senior warden, and now to come back is a wonderful thing too. So yay, Paula, for all of that. I do have a little token of our appreciation for you three. So don't let me forget to give those to you. Sue and Paula, because one goes to Lisa Marie and she had to go home. So thank you, and thank you so much for those of you who are joining us on the vestry. Our first meeting is February 14th. So if you have a big date, I'm sorry, we can talk about that. And if we have to move it, we can move it. So that it's always, but we ordinarily meet the second Tuesday of the month. So that's our date this year. We must have some brainstorming about this new possibility that has been just been briefly talked about when Reverend Scott Leanna was here a couple of weeks ago. There's a couple of things about that I need to say. One is that there is no predetermined outcome. You just need to know that nobody anywhere has said this is what's going to happen or this is what we're doing to you. That is not at all what is part of the conversation. And the other part of the other thing is that we are not and will not use words like consolidation or closing. Those are not words that are part of this conversation at all. Okay, you need to remember that, and you need to know that. There is no like closing a church. That's not on the table. Absolutely not on the table. What the conversation is about is, would it be a good idea to share resources? That's the question. Would it be a good idea to share resources? The most expensive resources is your clergy person. You all know that. You just look at our budget and see it. Would it be a good idea to share resources? Yes, Jackie. Loud, loud, loud. Yeah, come on up. Can't hear. I couldn't figure out how to use this. I got it figured out now.
Yes, I've always believed in.
Hold that up to you. Yeah.
Well, cooperation, and it's a big world out there, and to find out, what other people are doing and what's out there and how we would augment one another is never a bad idea. So I guess I urge that open minds be the case, and let's see what's out there. And I think that accommodates the two things you've just said, that no consolidation and no closing, but I think it would be fabulous. We have a wonderful Episcopal church in Beloit. I've always enjoyed it. We have, well, there's two people we know there.
Well, there's a lot of people we know there.
Right, and I read a lot about their priest in the Beloit paper, and he really seems well-spoken, and so I think that it's a good idea to get to maybe reach out and see what is there. So thank you.
Okay. I also want to say that it is not a foregone conclusion that Reverend TJ will be the clergy person. That he needs to entertain a call as the shared minister. He has indicated that he would be willing to do that. But again, we need to have conversations that don't have closed ends, that are open, so that nothing is foregone. Would it be a good idea to share resources?
I was just wondering, how the people from Lloyd are feeling about this.
That's a really good question. From what I understand, they've been having this conversation way longer than us. And that their inclination is to answer that with a yes. They are thinking that it would be a really good idea to share resources. Okay.
Hi, I'm Rick. For those who don't know me, I am formerly from St. Paul's, left there about 20 years ago. And at that time, just before that, we brought in a new priest, and she was shared with Monroe and Beloit. We knew up front that we would actually hire her full time at some point. 3 years later, we did. Worked out well. We had services in Monroe and Beloit at that time, so both churches had services on Sunday. Just a little bit different time schedule. My only concern or reservation on sharing, if it were to be TJ, is the fact that he already has a loyalty to Beloit. And I don't know if he can get beyond that, because I've had personal dealings with him. And I don't know that he can pass through that to service Trinity as well as he would Beloit. So.
And that's why it's not a foregone conclusion. There's something else I want to say to that. This isn't forever, as you have just addressed. This would, if you decide to share resources, it is not, again, a foregone conclusion that that's forever, right? So you got to keep that in mind. Somebody over here. Oh, okay. Yes.
I just wanted to know how that would work. So would each church have a mass on a Sunday, or would we like go to?
That's how we did it back then, but that's up to discussion.
It's all up to discussion. Yeah, that's, I know that's the burning question. And I also think that we haven't come there yet, this is how I might imagine you all would address, can we imagine sharing resources, right? That might be a yes, and it might be a no. So let's pretend we answer that question, yes. We can imagine sharing resources. Then the next question would be, what would that look like? And that's Kathy's question, I believe.
And the choir, you should.
Right, what would it look like to share resources? And we don't know the answer to that one yet either. And you guys will have decision-making in each step of this. None of this is a foregone conclusion. What would it look like to share resources? What would it look like to share a clergy person? What would it look like to share budget items? What would it look like, right? Those are all really good and important questions. Another question then would be, who is the clergy person that we would share? I have given you some information that says Reverend TJ would be open to talking about that and being that person shared. It's not a foregone conclusion either, okay? And then another step is how. How is this gonna, you know, who and then how? How are we going, how would we go about sharing resources? Well, who does what? Right? Who does what? Who pays for what? You know, there's a lot. Yeah.
But we are the ultimate determiner of what resources we share.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have no problem sharing clergy, but as I was thinking about this, I'm not interested in consolidation. And so I'm glad that will be in our hands.
Oh, no talk of consolidation, no talk of consolidation, no talk of anyone not meeting in their building. Okay. Yes, pretty much. Yeah, the supply priest is pretty much dried up as it has everywhere. Okay, so that is, I'd be happy to come back and supply sometime. And that's it. That, you know, does that play a role in moving into this possible landscape, right? We will, let's see, I have been informed that there's a retired priest who is settling in Whitewater. A possibility that you might all talk about is this going to be, if you're going to share resources, is this a team thing? So would TJ be part of the team and this new retired guy who's in Whitewater and our two deacons? What's his name? Greg at St. Paul's. What's the deacon's name at Greg at St. Paul's? Yeah, who knows? I can't come up with it. I think it's Greg. And our beloved Louise will be ordained deacon here coming up someday. I hope someday soon. St. Paul's has a deacon. And Louise will be that. Is it going to be, can it be a team of people, right? There's another wonderful conversation to be had.
So I'm Dale. So I'm curious because my personal experience has been when a priest leaves, there is a search committee that is formed. And they begin the search for somebody to replace who's leaving. That is usually at least a year-long process. And so I've not heard anything about a search committee yet. We're coming up with all of these other things that I know will need to be done, but are we actually going to form a search committee?
That is a great question, and I have a couple of things to say about that. There are no supply priests. So a short term might be to share resources so that worship and pastoral care can continue to happen, right? So that's one way forward. And you then all might determine that you are going to form a search committee and you are going to do something different. That's why I keep saying out loud, this isn't a forever deal. Whatever this might be doesn't need to be. It might be, but it doesn't need to be. That's not a foregone conclusion. It doesn't need to be the way it's always going to be, right? There was a second part of that. What was it? I got it.
There's something else in there.
You might not be where we've done that in the past.
Oh, I know, thank you. You reminded me of something. One of the differences that I feel like is today is that we have Reverend Scott Leanna on the diocesan staff. You all got to meet him 2 weeks ago. Some of you got to meet him previous to that. This is his job. And that's a difference from sort of former years, where there is a diocesan priest whose job it is to make sure that Trinity Episcopal Church in Janesville is not left to like wallow. So, you know, as this conversation moves ahead, that whole piece of it can be addressed. I mean, let's just pretend that you get past this budget year and you find that your financial resources are a little bit healthier. Would you then say it's time for us to form a search committee? Seems to me like that might be something. Or you decide that for a time we're going to share resources with St. Paul, and at the same time we're going to, and that's why this vision mission work is so important, because that's what's setting us up for that further discussion is what is it that who are we, what do we value, and how are we going to move forward with that? And is sharing resources the best way for us to move forward, or is there a different way? Those questions are all out there. Okay, so
I thank Dale for asking the question about a search committee. In the past, that's what's happened. When the priest leaves, we have a search committee and we look at people. I feel that that's what's happening when Kathy leaves. We should have a search committee. In the meantime, we can do Beloit, Janesville, and Fort Atkinson, and Blue Moons, or wherever. But who's to say that we cannot support a full-time priest again? So let's not jump to all these conclusions like we're going out and forgetting the whole world. I think we need to think about seeing what's out there. Maybe there's a good young priest or a good retired priest, and who knows, some are in the area that wants to share with us. But we have to be out there looking for them too.
yeah, no, I think that the whole idea that there is no foregone conclusion here. There is no specific answer to the question is what's really important. I think that the burning question is, when I am gone, come 1st of May, you know, will that be a way to move forward, to share resources with Beloit, and at the same time, to continue this all-important work of vision and mission, and to look at what it would be like down the line when the financial resources are back in place. I mean, and that takes, you know, your other comment long time ago about a robust stewardship is really important in that. So that's what sets it up in the down the line, right? So yes, yeah.
I remember that when Father Christ left, when Father Bramlett left, when Father LeBron left, there's always sort of a lull and an interim where we're supposed to be thinking about where are we headed, what are we looking for. I don't know if we've always done that work real well. In between, we haven't really asked the hard questions. I looked at, looking at the budget for 70, almost 76,000. Okay, well, I divided that by 52. We need to come up with $1,400 a month to make that up. I think we can totally do that. I mean, when you filled out your pledge card this year, did you do your math? Did you take your amount of money you made and divide it by 10 or whatever you're giving? I'm gonna tell you, I gave $8,400 to this church last year. And that's more than 10% of my income. And guess what? I have everything I need. I have more than I need. Big D people, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I try to point out to you, and some of you, thank you, increased your giving based on that knowledge, what Paula just gave us. You stepped up to it, and what did I say? If everybody gave $1,600 more in the year or something like that, I can't remember the number. But it was this deficit divided by the number of people who pledge regularly. So some days when you look at that number, it feels insurmountable. It is absolutely not insurmountable. I mean, I do think that it's not me. Yeah, it's not mine to determine. I can't tell you what to do, and I won't tell you what to do. You need to look at what you might want to do. So do you want to share resources for a while? Do you want to work at increasing the giving to this budget? So that I would guess that you would want to say something like, I'm not telling you anything. I'm just saying something like, in 2 to 3 years, in 2 years. And remember what Paula said about a good, interim and and doing work, because that's part of, part of the reason we got this vision going, because I thought I was going to retire a couple of years down the line. So we wanted to get the wheels rolling on that, so that when I retired, you'd all be in a really fabulous position to be able to look at what your interim would look like. Well, life changes, right? And so it's now instead of down the line. But that doesn't change anything for you guys. That it doesn't change anything about how you might approach the next phase of your lives here together. Yeah, you just need to but there's work. Work needs to happen.
I was one of the people on the steering committee. We hired Kathy, and we had a discussion with the diocese, and they asked us at that time if we wanted to join St. Paul's. We decided against it and started looking for a priest that we could hire on our own. So this is nothing new, really. I mean, they've talked to us before about it. And I guess like with some of you, I would like to see a steering committee get started, and we can look at both options.
I don't know how many of you remember, but what happens here at Trinity always gets done. Our organ, which didn't work this morning.
It's the weather, people.
And the organ was really bad here that we had. It was an awful organ. And we just said, we need a new organ. And we did what we had to do in order to get that new organ. And for many years, we had our dinner theaters, which everybody pitched in. It was great fun. Yeah. The first one that we pitched in for, we never
had to spend a penny out of pocket. People donated everything we needed to put that performance on. It brought the whole people from the neighborhood around you. We ran it for how many years, Kathy?
5 or 6.
At least
In
5
high
or 6
school.
years. We paid for the organ twice. So we are got. We could have paid for it. What I'm saying is that we are really strong here. Let's get on with the program.
Yeah.
So, again, no predetermined outcomes here. Your marching orders are to continue the hard work of the vision and mission committee. To continue looking at this possibility of sharing resources with St. Paul's, for a time. And I think your vestry leadership will help you, and Scott Leanna at the diocese, most definitely, can help guide in the way of that possibility too, of looking at what a calling process might look like down the line. Because those take a while. No matter what gets started, that takes a while. It should take a while, because that needs to be really good work that gets done. Okay, I gotta look and see and make sure that we did everything we said we were gonna do today. Well, oh, thank you for reminding about convention. I appreciate that. Okay, who wants to go to convention?
Sharon and I do.
Okay, Sharon Grover and Paula and Julie. Oh, you're nominating Rick. You're not saying you're gonna go yourself. Okay, so I got 3. So I got Paula and Sharon and Rick, and anybody else want to go? And Joe. We have 4 people. Yay. I don't know where that one came from. Yeah. But you got, yeah, anybody can go to diocesan convention. Anybody can go. Anybody can go. So we have 4 people that want to go. So.
All you ladies thinking about Minnie.
Yeah, Minnie, what are the dates?
Minnie Week is Sunday, August 6th. And we are let go after brunch on
Wednesday. Okay.
And it was fabulous last week.
Yeah, it's probably like one of the best things the diocese does it with.
I started it about. I went to the first time at 79.
Yeah.
77 maybe.
Yeah, and I imagine that as our conversations about consolidating the 3 dioceses in Wisconsin continue, that will also continue to be the meeting place.
And the thing that's so, I know the kids.
Yeah.
Stop Paul Camp and Boda.
Yeah.
That's where we get to go.
Yeah, so, beautiful place. Okie dokie, anything for the good of the group?
I have all of the specifics on Echo. I will post them. You might want to take a look at it just to see where we're at and where we're going. Some new things have happened. End of discussion.
And make sure that all of the announcements at the end of your bulletin get put on your refrigerator door, because that goes all the way out to May. And
Meals on Wheels in 2 weeks, get involved.
Meals on Wheels
Oh, yes, I've got them.
in 2 weeks coming up. Anybody who's got a couple, hardly even a couple hours, right, in the middle of the day. Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so very much. Thanks for having great conversation. Thank you to the kitchen team for all the work that they have done to feed us. And Dale. Yes, please. Dale just moved to adjourn this meeting and Rick just seconded that motion. Funnily enough, we don't need to vote on that, on an adjourn motion. You didn't need it. So thank you, guys. Have a good day. Okay, oh, off he goes. Bye, guys online. Lots of good chat. We'll see ya, Jack, and we'll see ya, Lisa Marie.